Okay, welcome back. Day 19. I am actually kind of sad right now because I was talking for like 9 minutes before I actually found out that my audio wasn't being recorded. So the receiver wasn't turned on and I was just going off. I was just talking. And when I noticed it, I was like, no. So it was one of the few times where I never checked. I never double checked if everything was good. I just turned on the camera and started recording because I really wanted to talk about this topic. But I have a little bit of talking points, which I probably shouldn't mention if I were to do like a real video. But I have a few talking points, and it's about being the oldest, the smartest that I've ever been, but still knowing nothing at all. So getting smarter, but feeling dumber. And it's kind of crazy to think about. And I've had this realization a few times, but I've had one like really recently, an epiphany, if you will. It's just like you're always, if you're always in new environments, you're always kind of thinking to yourself, man, there's so much or so little that I actually know about the world. And while you know a lot of things because you are the oldest you've ever been, but also the youngest you'll ever be, you still don't know anything in comparison to what the world has in store. There's different people, there's different cultures, there's history all around the world, and I've just barely scratched the surface. Like, I barely know anything about my hometown. It's kind of crazy to think about. So, yeah, I guess like a lot of the times this happens was when I go on trips, when I travel, when I experience new things, new places, new people. But it's not just in traveling, it's in life in general, and I'll explain more in a second. But that's a lot of the times where I'm like, man, I really don't know anything about anything. And it shouldn't be this sort of daunting thing to where you get overwhelmed to the point where you don't learn anything at all or don't want to learn anything at all. It's more, I want you to see it as like, oh man, I know nothing. Let's get out and learn as much as we can with the little amount of time that we have. So that's the kind of light that I want you to see it as. So instead of a positive or instead of a negative light, you should view things in a positive light, just in general, right? So that's like the main thing. But it doesn't have to be just about traveling. This can be applicable to life in general, in the little decisions that you make. You don't have to go out into a different country. You can go into a different part of your town. So especially if you live in a big country, there's different sorts of places, there's different communities that you can go to meet new people. There's Chinatown, Koreatown, there's a bunch of different places. And even where I'm at, my town isn't exactly the largest, but there's different people that you can learn from, that you can get to know, and just experience what the world has to offer. It's very humbling. It's definitely very humbling once you realize that you don't know anything. Yeah. I don't know why I just like completely went silent there, but it doesn't even have to be about traveling to a different place or meeting new people. You could experience this sort of thing by changing up something in your routine, something as little as going to a different coffee shop when you study, or going out to get some sunlight or working in a different environment. And there is like this sort of duality. I can kind of see where both mindsets are coming from, to where if like there's this thinking where if I change one thing about my routine, maybe I'll get into a car accident, or maybe I'll die. Maybe something bad will happen. But on the other hand, there's just so much more possibilities. If I go to a different coffee shop, maybe I'll meet someone there. I'll develop a new relationship. I'll make a new friend. If I get this new job, then maybe my life will change forever in some unexpected circumstance. So the opportunities are endless, and you should always be thinking in a positive way, just so that whenever these opportunities do come out and they arise, you'll be ready. It's just, that's the best way that I can explain it. But it really all is just like a mindset mindset shift. And I guess that's the thing, the one takeaway from this video. If you were to, if you're still watching, if you're still listening, thank you so much. But the one key thing to take away is to just be comfortable being uncomfortable. Continue putting yourself in these sorts of situations that get you to do something different, that gets you to experience something new, that gets you to meet new people, try new experiences, and your life will never be boring. Your life will never stay the same, it will stay stagnant. And even if you're doing the same sort of task over and over again, if you change it up, everything will be okay. Those are like the same things that I like to say. Like, that's what I've noticed. I like to say everything's gonna be okay. I like to say stuff like, towards the ends of my videos, thanks for listening. That's kind of like what I like to do. And now that I'm doing this for a second take, I don't really know what else to talk about. I guess all of the rambling was taken out of me on that first take, which is kind of unfortunate, but I guess that's something that we can talk about is, if something bad happens, if something doesn't necessarily go your way, then you don't try not to let it affect you. And I know it's a lot easier said than done, but believe me, there's so many times where I record footage for a client, and I don't know why I never learned. There's so many times where I record footage for a client, I put it on my laptop, I format the camera, and then somehow I happen to press Command Z on the MacBook, which undoes a certain action or command, and that undoes the file it undoes the files that I transferred, essentially. I don't know why I spaced out. Like a different thought came to mind, but I just have to ignore it. And, you can't really get it back. You formatted the SD card on your camera. You've undoed it, so those videos are gone. And the videos that I just have to shoot completely new videos for that client right after I just finished making that last set of videos. And it's really, really frustrating. But the point is that if something bad happens, just move on. You just got to keep going. And yeah, so I do know how it feels for something bad to happen to you, or for something that necessarily doesn't go your way. And you're not really going to get anywhere if you were to just sit there and just be like, oh, why? You're not going to get anywhere if you're like, I'm going to take a break. You gotta get it done now as soon as possible. You gotta make the best use of your time. But that's pretty much it for this video. I really do want to make a film on this, hopefully where my thoughts are more organized, and so that I can reach more hearts. I can sort of poke at your emotions a little bit more. That's sort of the goal with a filmmaker, is just to keep you immersed with the story, invoke a certain feeling or emotion. And I'm not saying that I'm a filmmaker, because I don't think I am, but I do want to make films. I do want to make these sorts of videos, and I'm going to make it happen. Okay. Still kind of sad about my first take being gone, but it is what it is. Thanks for listening.